welcome to another Mmmcast. This week, joining me on our mental meander is my dear friend. You gonna say your name?
I was hoping you would introduce.
Oh yeah, well it's Jamie Mack, isn't it?
Hello.
It's only Jamie Mack. There he is.
Yeah.
And today's topic is evolution, as we said we wouldn't do in the last one.
Yeah, we did say we weren't going to do that.
Anyone who watched the last one to the end will know that we said we wouldn't do that, so we're doing it.
We had so many good ideas, but that was the best one.
Yeah, basically, that's what happened there.
Yeah.
So let's see here then. Did you have an opening quote? We had an opening quote?
Funnily enough, I do. I do have an opening quote.
Please crack out said opening quote.
So, from the infamous Mr. Sir Richard Dawkins, I believe.
Okay.
He once said, "The chicken is only an egg's way for making another egg."
Right. Excellent.
Now, that's pretty deep.
Thoughts yourself
Well,
before I
I'll
jump
be honest,
in there?
it took me a second. It's not one that registered particularly quickly.
What were you thinking initially?
I don't know. I didn't want to kind of go straight back to that. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Because that's just a ridiculous thing that people just get stuck in that loop, don't they?
I'd like to get into that because
it's a shame.
Because I do have because there is, if you want, there's a fun answer that you can be definite about. You can. There is a right answer if you would like in a certain style. So I'm prepared to present that if you'd like.
Okay.
Which is. To do with evolution, basically. So that's why
it's fitting.
So well, what I like about that quote is the way that he's sort of the concept of removing intention, which I think is important. He's talking about, to me, that one of the things that I would take from that is it's removing any element of will. So it's not like that a chicken necessarily is willing to have an egg. It's not that. He's highlighting the fact that an egg is just as much trying to be a chicken as a chicken is trying to have an egg, and we associate a chicken, say, with being more of a developed and intelligent being that's trying to do something.
It's not like they're in the pub and he's going, "Excuse me, Brian, I'm just going to lay an egg."
Well, even though obviously, it's trying to survive, it's trying to reproduce and things like that. It's only part of an equation. It's just a natural process. This live chicken that is doing things is a combination of processes, and it's as much a part of the cycle as the egg is. And there's no, in the same way that an egg can't will it to be something, nor can a chicken.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's like
true.
It's an egg's way of. It's like saying, well, how about we look at it from the point of view of an egg, because they're both just as valid. Just because one's got a brain and one hasn't, doesn't affect this element of agency, if you like, in a broader picture terms. I think that's what I like to take from that quote, because that is a fundamental thing about evolution and natural selection, is that this idea of stuff choosing to be a way, there's a reason, and there's, in terms of some sort of longer term will element.
You've drawn a lot more from that than I perhaps did.
But would you think? Oh well, so do you think I'm saying?
No, I think you've hit the nail.
I'm overdoing it because.
No, I think that's generally, like you said, you summed it up by saying basically he's trying to say the egg's just as important as the chicken. Basically,
there's no will in evolution.
Yeah, that's it. Basically, you can't continue the chain without that one egg. That one egg could stop the existence of that species, basically, if it didn't exist.
Well, if you want to... So now, that was we didn't really get to ridicule that quote as much as we did with the Stephen Hawking thing. We didn't really go into... There's another... Dawkins. I mean, it's Dawkins. Hawking, Dawkins...
Conspiracy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the great minds that we started these quotes off all... Some sort of...
But let's not talk about conspiracies.
No,
because we don't want to go off on a...
But if you want to watch some conspiracies, go and check out my World Sport conspiracy videos on my channel. So you've got to plug there. Shameless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my channel. You're on here.
Yeah.
You're on here anyway.
True.
So
no one's paying you for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I bloody wish there were.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe if you can. I need to get myself some sort of income going on this. Just keep give me the views, keep refreshing.
Yeah, just keep going. If you're doing
if you're watching this and there's ads showing, it means I've reached a sufficient amount of views. So please keep refreshing, keep giving me money, so that I can do it more. That's great.
As we sit
I
here,
apologise for
ruining
this mansion,
country manor.
I'm pretty much ruining this current content by asking for more money, which is probably not going to help get more.
You never know.
So, yeah, that's excellent. I hope you appreciate my wasting your time there if you came to watch this podcast about evolution. This is actually an advert and a
what a ruse.
and an ask for money sesh. But we can put that on hold and do a podcast if you like about evolution.
Set it all.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to do that.
Well.
I think I'd prefer to do that. I genuinely would like that myself.
Because we made notes and things.
Yeah, there was notes. So there's some.
If those notes went to waste.
So on the chicken and the egg scenario, everyone always goes. I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen the Flight of the Conchords episode where Brett is trying to get a job, and he's got a job holding up a hot dog sign or something like that, and Jermaine's like, "Why? We need you in the band," and he's like, "Yeah, but I need to do this job because we've got no gigs," and he's like, "Well, we'll get some gigs and you come back to the band and you won't need the job." He's like, "Yeah, but we don't have any gigs, so I have to do the job." He said, "Well, we can't get any gigs if you're going to do the job because we need you in the band." You go on like this.
Right,
and it's like, it's a chicken or an egg situation.
Yeah.
Goes, what do you mean? What are you on about? And then he tries to explain the chicken and egg situation, and it's just quite a funny little sketch. And the good way to resolve it in real terms, in evolutionary terms, is would you like to hazard a guess of which one truly did come first? Or does come first?
Well, I imagine the egg came first.
And why would you say that?
Because the chicken was hatched from the egg.
Well, no. You see, you made a critical error. Why would the chicken... Why is there chicken per se? What do you mean by that? What do you mean the chicken had to hatch from the egg? It's not a trick question. I'm genuinely asking. What do you mean?
Okay, yeah, I see where I've gone wrong.
Do you? Explain to me why that's not important. Seeing real dead in.
Yeah, I've kind of driven right into a cul-de-sac there, haven't I?
So, if the chicken hatches from the egg, right? Let's just keep with what you said there.
Okay.
If the chicken hatches from the egg,
doesn't that mean it come from?
Doesn't that? Well, not yeah, of course, but doesn't that mean that the egg must have been a chicken egg in the first place? Or is what you're saying, right? But why? When did this become? When did this become a chicken egg? Right. Just think about evolution. What are you saying? Because chickens didn't just drop into existence, did they?
It's derivative.
Excellent rustling outside. I hope that doesn't pick up on the podcast, for God's sake. Really nice rustling going on outside when I'm trying to record a podcast. It's really good. It's not like I don't have decent enough mic quality anyway, because I don't have sort of soundproofing or noise reduction.
In your
and we have one tiny little stereo microphone that's doing anything.
Yeah. Okay, so the chicken has evolved from the dinosaur.
Yeah. Okay. So we're getting closer now. So the chicken didn't just like rock up as a chicken, did it? Right.
Yeah. Go figure.
So, there had to be a continual process, didn't there?
Yes.
So, at what point did we go from dinosaur to chicken, for example? I mean, obviously it's not that simple. If we go back to how it works in evolution, obviously a chicken had a common... birds have been around as long as dinosaurs, so it makes sense that the modern day chicken, is descendant from, prehistoric animals and has a common ancestor with, perhaps a velociraptor of some sort, because obviously they were famously more like birds than we see in films for the sake of entertainment. Velociraptors have feathers. That
makes turkey dinosaurs quite an interesting thing, doesn't it?
Because velociraptors did have feathers and things like that, and they had...
turkey dinosaurs are shaped like their ancestors.
They are, yeah. Perhaps that was the inspiration there, just throwing back to when velociraptors were made.
It does kind of roll off the tongue.
Defeathered for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Right. So So one minute it's a dinosaur, let's say
Yeah.
Velociraptor. Next minute it's a chicken.
That's a
Right.
quick transition.
So how do we reconcile the egg and the chicken thing in this scenario then? When did the chicken turn up? When did we have a chicken egg? Became a chicken. There's a point I'm getting to here. I'm just trying to see if you can see where the problem is.
I feel like I probably knew this at one point. And I pushed it.
Because I'm saying there's a correct answer. There's a
brain.
correct answer to what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Why is it that there is one that must have come first? In evolutionary terms.
Is it because we all start off in the water?
Well, you're getting closer.
It's
Yeah,
like a tadpole.
well, you're getting a lot closer, right? So
Yeah.
here's the thing: is because you've avoided falling into a different trap, so we'll just come out with the answer,
Okay.
which is like, as far
Please
as
do.
far as I'm aware, eggs as a thing came first. So the egg, i.e., an egg, any egg, whether it's a chicken egg or not, came first, right? Evolutionary speaking, we have reptiles and fish and things like that
Yeah.
that famously laid eggs long before birds and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So that's that solved. But the problem that people often fall into is like, yeah, but the chicken egg though. Did the chicken egg come first or did the chicken come first? Well then, yeah, now you are at some sort of ridiculous impasse. Because people seem to always think of, I don't know, this might shed some light on why I was like trying to ask you what you meant by what do you mean a chicken egg? Which is the thing that people always forget is about this really infinitesimal, just slow, tiny transition where there is no point when there was a bird before that was like a chicken, that wasn't called a chicken, it was like a nearly chicken. Then
Close
and
enough.
then one egg came out and it's like, now we've got the chicken.
Yeah.
It's not like that, is it?
Turkey, perhaps.
It's not, that never happened.
Probably wasn't called a turkey back then, though.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we can look at a line of loads and loads and loads and loads of chickens and go like, the modern day chicken looks like this. And we could come back to a point where like, okay, now they've started to look a lot less like the modern day
Okay.
chicken. But the point is, it's completely seamless. You would never be able to visually see, because of the tiny, tiny incremental changes and the scale at which this happens, you would never be able to see where this point is, where it's like,
Yeah, where
oh,
it suddenly
it
becomes
was
chicken.
it was chicken 0.5, now it's chicken 1.0.
Yeah.
Like, no. So the whole, that's why I was seeing if you were going to roll onto that when you said, you know, a chicken egg.
Spotted that.
It's a
It's been a long
philosophical.
day.
It's a philosophical problem of like essentialism, as we call it. Like a lot of people see an animal today and they think of it as like a rabbit or a chicken, and really there is no, you know, set. There is no premium chicken idea. There's no set caterpillar idea. It's just a process. It's just on a process. It's just a constant thing. It's just that we're existing in such a short time frame that obviously to us nothing's changing at
Yeah.
all. I mean, you could even say, let's say for argument's sake, that now it isn't changing. Let's say they are.
But it's
all
like
set,
if you
but-
live with someone, you won't even notice them age.
yeah, exactly. So how the hell are you going to expect
Yeah.
to notice
You were-
speciation?
The only time you notice changes in someone is if you spend a time apart from them. Then you come back and it's like, oh, you're going grey, or you're going bald, or you're a bit fat, or whatever. You
Yeah.
don't notice if you live with someone, and that's still in that tiny, minute time frame. You don't even notice those differences.
Yeah. It's just really
You see
funny.
every day.
It seems so easy. A lot of people just. It's not that obviously when you explain it, it's like, well, yeah, of course, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, obviously I'm not. You know, I didn't have an essentialist view of a chicken or whatever, but the way you talk about it and the way we go on about it,
Essentialist
it's,
view.
yeah, exactly. It's like, but it's a pre-programmed thing, like that we perceive things in such a way, and that's
But you
part.
label things naturally. don't
Yeah,
you?
and that's part of what
It's a
makes,
very
for some
human thing
people
to do.
who say don't, like, you know, whether even if you accept evolution, a lot of people understand it. Say if you didn't read about it, or whether you're aware that, you know, it's the overwhelming fact of how things go down, you still might not consider that as a scenario, even if you're accepting evolution, or all you've never ever known is this, you know, that's a chicken and that's not, you know, like it's not these sort of transitional elements are not natural, because to sort of it feels anti-intuitive. Like, what do you mean a chicken's not a chicken? It's like it's funny because it's such a people just have a real struggle with the scale and time that's involved, and it's like, so you can understand how some people sort of, even if they say they accept it, don't grasp you sort of saying that sort of thing. But I don't know, I find it funny. I like the whole idea of like an essentialist chicken, and the whole idea of something that sounds so trivial as a chicken and an egg getting right down to here. But where did it really start?
Yeah, where did it really start?
What's the brass tack? But yeah, so if anyone says to you, but what came first, chicken or the egg? You just, well, obviously the egg, because eggs were around ages before chicken, so you can say that if you want.
Yeah.
If you've never
I will next time.
that,
I will
that
next
answer.
time.
It doesn't solve I've got a job because there's no gigs, or we can't have gigs because we need you in the band if you've got this job. I mean, that's
one for another day.
is the classic, that is the chicken and the egg, so you can never
That
solve
really
the practical dilemma, but in scientific, biological, evolutionary terms.
But do you need money?
Yeah, that's that sorted out for you.
Yeah. We evolved to need money.
What did you have some other things in the thing there? Because I'm a bit concerned that I don't have a bridge way to get into it. I want to talk about something a little bit more wacky, and I don't know if that's going to be difficult.
Some other quotes.
Go on, hit us with one, and then I'll see about advancing to.
So this is a Darwinian quote.
Go for it.
It says, "One general law leading to the advancement of all organic beings, namely multiply, vary, let the strongest live and the weakest die." What does that mean then?
Yeah, that's one of those ones where it's like pretty straight up, pretty much a kick to the chest.
That's proper like ye olde English.
Yeah, I kind of I've got a lot to say about Darwin that I really want to get into, actually, because it's such an interesting sort of thing. Obviously there's problems that come up with that straight away, aren't there? Like, because if someone in today's society, amongst humans, for example, if someone says that, like, all people are thinking is, what do you mean, let the strongest live and the weakest die?
Today's society.
Like, but it's got nothing, again, it's got nothing to do with a Darwinist society is a problem, which we can come back to. But like when someone says Darwinism in societal terms, or like say political terms, that
was very prominent in fascism. The whole let's just breed Aryan people and destroy who we consider to be the weakest in society.
Yeah, I mean, did Darwin
just create a race of what he considered to be the strongest genetic?
There is perhaps as far as I'm aware, I've not read any information about Darwin that suggests it was in any way a fascist of some sort, because he's purely to extract what he's saying about a biological process that has no will,
because nature naturally is cruel.
Separate from any political societal.
Basically, humans and domesticated pets have basically developed this idea that it's unfair, whereas any other species in nature, that is quite literally how it works.
Yeah, it's
you wouldn't have pity taken on you if you've a hungry lion isn't going to see an injured baby wildebeest and go, not today.
No,
not today. Look at him, he's adorable.
Yeah. No,
that one's limping.
I mean, you do see some things where it's difficult, isn't it? Because, like, especially in that particular scenario, that's a good example of where there is mercy levels are minimal, because it's a really survivalistic scenario. There are other areas in the animal kingdom where it's not so, like, you're not out on the savannah and
it's
just
privilege and luxury,
struggling for food. Some animals aren't absolutely struggling to survive, and so you do see interesting interactions between some animals that perhaps could be predator and prey, but they're not in this scenario for whatever reason.
Because it's not desperation,
which is actually interesting. Obviously, you see it a lot.
I find it comes to ease as well. Like, for us, it's always been privilege. Privilege more than anything, really, that's made it so it's like, well, we don't need to kill each other. But if we were in a scenario where we had to kill each other for resource to survive. If you were hungry enough, if you were desperate enough, it would draw people to do that. And, you know, like you were saying, there's animals and things like that don't need to do it, but also having to catch prey would be one, time consuming, energy consuming. You know, it could go, well, there's food right there, but it's a lot easier for me to go and eat that cabbage.
Yeah, although like the idea, I like the idea of, say, like a wolf looking at his watch, like, do I have time to kind of?
I am knackered.
I'm
not chasing that.
It's funny. That's another interesting thing about animals is the way that they are really economic. Really economic. They will do their best to just use their energy in the most efficient way to get.
They won't chase
to
something to the end of the earth.
Like,
they know when to give up, even when they're starving to go. They're aware. It's that instinct. It's that whole. You know,
a really resourceful.
Particularly a wild cat, for example, is going to know when to go. That's a lost cause. If it's desperate, it'll chase it and chase it and chase it.
Yeah, it does. It's
we've watched
it's
enough Attenborough documentaries and stuff to prove that this is the case.
I mean, sometimes they do get like distressed and like might make a decision that might be not best, but they do have a really good idea of where to like cut their losses. Like they'd be great at gambling. Animals would be quality at gambling.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's it's not going to work, is it? It's like,
or like just
they wouldn't gamble,
or just supermarket shopping. Supermarket shopping as well.
Oh my god, that's freaky. Animals go around the supermarket
because they'd just be like, right, I only need that. I'm not carrying all that around. They'd be consciously aware of their calories. Don't need peanut butter cups.
It's just literally putting this extra tin in this bag is going to mean that I've wasted more calories on this journey than I'm going to have by eating
trying
this
to
food
cart that
later.
around. I mean, they don't carry carcasses around on the backs like piggyback.
And that is the only time I think perhaps some wastage might happen, because as far as the animal kingdom's concerned, there's just no waste. It's like waste isn't something they would ever choose to do or think about. Like the only time you would get waste is because they're in those situations where they need one deer or whatever, and that's all they can find is one deer, and they need the pack of lions or whatever, or antelope. They grab an antelope and they smash as much of it as they can, and they keep coming back to it. I mean, you often see like they will remember it and they'll come back to it and they'll eat it,
and they'll
even
learn
once it's
when
completely
to stop with
when it's gone.
That's when it's
even when it's gone, and it's like sometimes they're so desperate they're like, oh my god, they will just eat everything off the bone. The only time they wouldn't is like if they waste it by accident. Like for whatever reason they had one. They had one there, and then somehow they came into another one that was just fresher and better. It's just it's hard to tell if they would ever make that choice, because it doesn't really happen. They tend to just get enough to get through. I mean, I can't say I'm not. It's hard for me to make a lot of these claims when I'm not a guy who sits there studying lions on the savannah or whatever. But
exactly.
The waste is just not as a thing really when it comes to animals, is it? It's like
no, not at all.
And just
and rightly so. So you don't know when the next meal's coming.
Yeah, I wish I knew when my next meal was coming.
I'm just hungry all the time.
Yeah,
mine's probably going to be breakfast now.
It's quite stressful being a human, isn't it?
Realistically, it will be breakfast. It's a long time.
Actually, do you know what?
It's about 12
I know we're sort of being flippant there, but I have to say I can't remember what the study is, but look it up, because this is interesting and it's certainly worth it for your happiness and your well-being. Evolutionary speaking. Oh, do you know what? In fact, I'll come to this. We'll have a little break. We'll have a break, and we'll recoup.
Hold that thought.
And we'll be right back.
Hi there. Hope you're enjoying the cast. If you're just listening to this but want some amazing facts about the transitions in evolution, you can hit pause and have a look at the text I put on the YouTube video.
Right, welcome back. I was just about to talk about something to do with your happiness and well-being with regards to evolutionary knowledgings.
Yeah.
So, you said something right before we stopped. I can't remember what it was. But what I was going to say was
it like luxury?
Oh, where the next meal's coming. That is the classic thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's been proven. I can't remember which study it's in, but it's been proven that I'm going to be sort of inflammatory here and just put it in a really basic way. green is the best colour. If green's not your favourite colour, you're wrong.
Oh, I know about this. I do actually.
It's not
know
subjective.
About
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Like, it's subjective. What you like? Like some people like mauve, some people like turquoise. No, wrong. Green is the best. All right.
Those are hipster colours. We hate them.
Do you know? You've heard about this? Tell me. Talk to me.
It's now, if I'm correct, this is to do with how humans can see more shades of green than any other colour, and it goes back to our instincts when we were basically, what's the word I'm looking for? It's
Primitive,
a survival. Yeah, it's a primitive survival.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not really a technique,
Right.
but
Well,
it's to do with hunting and environment, things like that.
yeah, you're on the
Please tell me
right
I'm
lines,
being-
but it's you're in the ballpark. Yeah,
That was such a confident answer.
you've gone evolutionary. You've talked about a scientific aspect of
Okay.
green, right?
Okay.
The thing is it's a little bit more simple, but it just comes down to the fact that green is the colour of life. And I don't mean that in like some sort of ethereal sense. I literally mean that's our food. There's water, there's oxygen, there's sunlight, everything else. Like in terms of what's innately inbuilt into you, means that when you see a plant, your subconscious is way more at rest than it is when there's not. So they've done multiple studies where they've had, like, say, if you're sitting in a room with a plant or without a plant, you're always there's happiness tests, if you like, and you can do this with literally measuring, like, endorphins and different chemical levels in the brain. That when someone has a plant knocking around, they are definitively happier, and they've gone into why this is and what this is, and that it's not just a correlation, it's not just a coincidence, it's actually caused by this, and so I don't know how it's not like super strong. It's not like a really, like, if you put a plant on your desk, you're going to be like, "Whoa!" all day long. There's a plant there, but that is the thing. So because it's about where the next meal's coming from. You've got a plant there, you know where the next meal's coming from. I mean, not literally.
It's a subconscious
but it
comfort.
settles innate inbuilt things within us.
Like, you're not going to eat it. Well, that's the thing, you're not actually going to eat it.
And obviously someone like may well prefer pink than any other colour.
Yeah.
But the fact is,
like if there's no pink in the room, they will shoot themselves.
Yeah, some people will just hate all colours so much that if they're not living in a room,
it's just black,
just surrounded. Oh, well, I was going to say pink. We were on pink just now. Maybe you switched to black and white.
My favourite colours. Can't
Well,
choose between the two.
Well, actually, they're monochromes, so they're not colours, are they? You stupid. You pathetic.
Sorry.
Yeah. I actually. What is your favourite colour? Side note.
Orange.
No, green. We just been through this, you
No.
stupid man. It's green, for God's sake. Orange. Is it
It's
orange?
orange.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice, I like that. Orange is pretty good.
I like green, don't get me wrong.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I like green.
Yeah, you must do. You'd be mental.
It's human instinct. I
Yeah,
like
of course
green.
you do. Yeah. Whether you
Got
like
to
it or
like
not,
green.
you like green.
Yeah, green.
If you don't like green, you still like green.
Yeah.
Just deal with that.
You
Deal
have
with
to,
that fact.
yeah,
Reconcile
on
with
the
the fact.
inside.
All of those watching, of the three of you, if any of you don't like green, just think about this. You do. Okay? So
You actually
deal with
like
that.
green.
The
The Hulk's green, he's pretty cool.
Hulk's not a good advocate for that
Quite
kind of
confident,
science.
though.
Thankfully, he is a fictional character, so I can kind of get. Well, actually, no, because did you know the Hulk was grey originally when he first?
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's anyone who's a Marvel. See, this is weird because I'm not that fussed about Marvel really. I'm just gonna
really
put my
don't.
hands up
Yeah.
and say it, right?
All these film, like the Marvel film franchise at the minute.
I'm not
really
anti-Marvel. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't
wanna,
hate
I don't
it.
want to
I just think
overstate
it's
this.
been well and truly like wrung out.
Certainly, when I was a child, I was much more interested. Definitely.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying that despite not being a big fan, for some reason it's just a piece of data that I know that the Hulk was
used to be
grey.
grey.
And I think it was like a.
What colour were his shorts?
I think his shorts were still like a dark like a dark
Purple.
colour like that, or whatever, like, you know, the jeans
Think they're
or
purple.
whatever, or, well, I don't think they were purple, no, they were just like the clothes that...
I thought he had
Every
purple
hand.
shorts.
No, he does have purple shorts, but not in the...
Were his trousers purple?
Have you ever watched, like, the old ones with,
They must
what's
have
his
been
face? You know, the bodybuilder that used to do it? He was always just whatever...
Lou
jeans
Ferrigno.
he was- Yeah, whatever Lou was wanting to burst out of, it was usually some form of denim, which, you know, always demonstrates just how
That's
muscular you are.
That's
if you're
pretty strong.
bursting out
yeah.
of. And always, despite how big
We've all
he
ripped
grows...
an underpants.
I mean, this
whenever
is. I know this is
jean.
age-old joke about the Hulk as the lad goes,
Yeah.
but everything else gets torn off. But his little shorts are always hanging on
Shorts,
there,
yeah.
always hanging on. Which again,
And
I
they
feel
expand
like
with him. What's all that about?
I feel like
They elasticated.
okay. This is one of those things we were talking about back in the really early podcast when we were like, there's certain things in a fantasy world when if you're gonna decide, okay, this character can do this stuff,
Yeah.
then the other things around it need to kind of make sense with it. It's like these
Yeah.
are just a normal pair of
You
shorts.
can't just go.
These aren't a magical
he's a
Hulk
huge,
shorts.
green, like muscly man.
This, you know,
Yeah, what do you expect? So no, you can't just do that. You can't just suddenly just make things up. And it's
he didn't like. His shorts didn't become super hulky too.
Yeah.
Like of all the clothing, for some reason, his
all
shorts.
perfectly relevant
his
to
shorts-
evolution, by the way. The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, definitely. Which
But
mental meander we're getting.
Muscly people, like you were gonna. I believe we were gonna move on to sort of. Do we believe evolution's happening right now?
Yeah. Do you think we are still evolving? And then a separate question, which
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever stop, really. But I think it'll be weird things. I think it'll be things in society. But society always changes. That's the problem. So it's hard to predict. Like, for obvious reasons, things like average height and
Go on.
age.
Yeah.
Are two things that
Increasing.
are constantly increasing, but that's through, medical care and things like that. Height, can only assume that's just through basically just worldwide genetics.
Well, I don't know. I think
blending
some of that
in.
can come down to health as well. I think height and diet and things like that. And obviously, when you look at the difference,
I
because
was
the thing
wondering
is,
why it was so like the
well, the
average height now
thing
is
is
so
the
much
actual
higher.
height of, like, especially in the UK and like in terms of the Industrial Revolution, a lot of people were very, very short, and that wasn't actually reflective of their genes or evolutionary state at the time. It was due to the working environments, due to the condition of the air, due to the early ages of being at work, and all these other things stunted people's growth quite a lot. So people were smaller, and they had
I
smaller
didn't
buildings.
consider
And
that,
everything.
actually.
But actually, people were, evolutionary speaking, taller than that. It's just that they were
forced to.
So
do,
I mean, I don't know how much taller they would have been. I don't know the exact stats, but like, actually,
Why
mate,
not?
do you know if you were living today, mate, you would have.
You'd be a right tall fellow,
yeah.
you.
Yeah, it was just because you
That
were
is a
down in the
shame.
coal mines all the time, and from when you were 6 years old, that you
Yeah.
never got any.
But it's interesting because people's attitudes, even towards like, getting my words out, appearance. Like, people are more
aesthetics.
People are more conscious of their appearance and how they look, and go, like, talking about the Hulk kind of remind me. It's
his
this
little
whole thing of people. But then again, it is always kind of a small section of people. It isn't representative of everyone. It's not like everyone's suddenly going to the gym and getting super hench. But
Super hench.
It's
He's
more
a
common.
different superhero.
Yeah, but people are generally thinner. I think people always say, like, oh, obesity's rife, and I was like, yeah, but I think particularly in young people now, it's because binge drinking and stuff's gone down massively.
I don't know. I actually am not familiar with the stats at the moment, but I have to say that we clearly are living in a world where we are more capable than ever to be the fittest and healthiest we've ever been, and the fattest and unhealthiest we've ever been.
Easily,
we are literally capable of being the best and the worst right now. Like, society has not achieved such great divide. Like, the people we have now in terms of unhealthy are like the unhealthiest we have ever seen, and in a really big way. Like, way more people now are unhealthy to a ridiculous degree than they ever used to be, and it freaks me out. And I was talking about this the other day, and I know that, I mean, to some extent, because we're talking about really recent change, these are such small, this is not like what you might regard as evolutionary, but this kind of thing, when persisted, could eventually be an evolutionary change. I mean, we know it takes millions of years and stuff, but and we can come back to, because I do think we are still evolving, and I think it's important to come back to why and how that might be the case, because there's a lot of things to talk about there. Like, but just in terms of like health and diet, when I look at The Office, like, this is how I always judge it. The first season of The Office, Ricky Gervais in that, he's supposed to be fat, and you know, scientifically, realistically speaking, evolutionary terms, he is. Yeah, right? He's not.
He's overindulgent.
He's not really in a healthy weight, but if you actually look at it, I don't know if you've not seen it for a while. I don't know what your mind's eye vision of David Brent is, but
he's not that big.
If you were to compare that now, you'd say he's just normal.
Yeah,
and you would just say he's a regular weight, regular fitness kind of guy. I think a lot of people would. They might. Some people might be saying, like, no, come on.
It wouldn't be the first thing to mind.
People wouldn't even like bat an eyelid at the shape he's in, I don't think. And like when you look at Neil, I think is it Neil, the really big chap, the guy who's like the hilarious guy. When he sits there, like what are your skills? Accounts, like that's. Your job,
Or your weaknesses.
That guy, and now he's big. Now he's like noticeable. Like today, you see him and you'd be like, oh, you know, he's looking pretty unhealthy. He's pretty fat. But like the David Brents of the world, just not even noticeable. Like our standard level. What I'm getting to is our standard idea of what's considered fat and unhealthy is way above what it ever used to be. You have to get way bigger now for people to consider that as a thing now as well. So many people are just genuinely really, really unhealthy and fat in a way that's like, wow, this is pretty. Our standards, our perceptions of what's like regular and normal have changed quite a bit. And in the same way with the fitness freaks as well. We have people that are like, when you looked at who was bodybuilding back in the day, we do have, like, you know, when you look at Arnie or someone like that, it was big and his figure was incredible and stuff. But then you look at some of the neater and tidier little, like, you know, the sort of the super ripped kind of guys, rather than the big ones, the super ripped, you know, the ones who have
guys who are like 0.0%
body fat, right? Yeah. Those guys, whether they're big or shredded or both, they're way more mental than they ever used to be now. I know that, like, as ever, drugs is always is in there. But, like, we seem to have guys that are shredded beyond what's, like, you even thought was possible now. It's like, man.
Which is unhealthy.
Like, and your idea of what our idea of, like, a six-pack or being ripped is, like, way more extreme than what it used to be. Like, if you look at some of the pictures of guys on health magazines and things like that, it's like, they look healthy, they look built. But if you look at a guy on a magazine now, or, like, in a movie, or what's considered big and buff, it's like, Jesus, man.
This is like a silverback.
You're literally a silverback gorilla, man.
Detail of every muscle.
It's our perceptions of what's like. It seems to be a lot more.
That's what I mean. Society always changes.
Do you not remember how skinny people used to be? Do you not remember how unmuscular people used to be? So,
like, everyone's growing beards now.
Yeah, but well, beards is an interesting. I don't know if that'll probably phase out.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, that'll be gone again. But how does any of this stuff in general affect evolution?
I don't know.
It's usually conditions, not attitudes.
Yeah, because the thing is, really. That's what I like to.
It kind of does at the same time, though. So it's like, how do you predict it?
Well, that's what I want to bring it back to, because right now, like humans in particular, I feel like the question of, I mean, we're all animals. I know we're all animals, but non-human animals, it seems to make sense that, like, obviously non-human animals, of course, I feel like they're probably evolving just as whatever same rate they've been evolving this whole time. And if anything, because of what we're doing to the planet, animals are probably having to accelerate their rate of evolution. Perhaps evolution in the natural world is accelerating, but us, it feels like it would slow down, because we don't seem to have any survival pressures whatsoever.
Yeah, and there's no desperate need to adapt.
That's one of the things that drives natural selection. Is it just so happens that this giraffe could reach the leaves more easily and more efficiently than the giraffe that didn't have the longer neck, and so those genes are favoured. And the giraffe population, I don't know, mate. A giraffe could well have started like with just like that. but we don't. There's this. So this is an incidental pressure that changes the what the animals that exist. Like the way in which natural selection works is sort of based around, not in every sense. There are ways it works elsewise, but where are our sort of survival pressures? What is still driving us?
I mean, obviously there are parts of the world where, unfortunately, there is still a very, very high survival pressure, where it is a constant strain.
Yeah. But it's not. That's not to say that we aren't still evolving. Just not in it. Just in a different way. It's like, again, it just comes back to the whole will thing. It's like, just because we, like, say we had zero pressure to survive, which is obviously, I don't know how you could ever have that, because we're always going to have to eat, we're always going to have to do stuff, but it just means that things will change because then certain things aren't needed.
I do find it genuinely fascinating, because sort of particularly going down this route, it's who and what decides why we change. And when does it decide to change?
Exactly. It doesn't.
It's just
there's no decision.
This is what I find so fascinating, is how it just happens.
It just is. Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
And that's what I find a little bit mind-boggling, because naturally you always assume that something's in control.
Yeah, it is funny. That's why people they need a designer and all these other things and stuff to
be able to understand the world. People need a concept, generally.
Which is a whole thing in itself, really. I mean, that's perhaps a discussion for another time. But it is intrinsically linked to evolution. But I would say the thing that amuses me is this concept of... I always felt terrified at how plausible WALL-E seemed. That film, that Pixar movie, WALL-E... I don't know if you've seen that, but if you've seen WALL-E, you'll know what I'm talking about. Which is where the human population, basically, there's a great scene where it shows the pictures of the captains, because the humans have had to leave Earth because they've just completely mashed it up. They think there's nothing left, so they get on the ship and they go. They're so good at space travel now that they sort of live on the ship and they're moving towards another planet. It's going to take God knows how long. And there's a scene where you get to see all the ship's captains on the ship, and when they leave, they look like humans. In fact, it's an actual... What's brilliant about this is they use a real life human picture, so it's not an animated version. It's not
I remember that.
It's a human guy, or what looks like a futuristic human guy, and then as it goes down through the pictures, you see this human guy change into the Pixar animation guy, and it's like, that is genius. That is just brilliant. And it's like, all these things can change so much. You can't possibly predict, and it looks quite quick actually. When you look at the years, it's like, obviously that seems insanely quick, but you never know how things might pan out. But so the idea that we become blobs because we're just a great big fat dude.
You have no reason to
in a pod, so that everything's controlled by machines. This comes back to what we were talking about AI the other week. Everything's controlled by computers. Humans don't really have to do anything. Everything's sort of, they barely use they sort of use their hands. Like, obviously there's loads of ways you can interpret what's going on, but the essential way they sort of put it across is this dystopian future where human interaction doesn't really exist. Like, every person's in their own pod, everything's on a screen.
No one has a reason to think about what they look like or what they do.
Yeah, they're just like a ball of tissue, and it shows. I'm sure at some point it shows that we get to see an X-ray of him, and like the skeleton's different. Like, there's no skeleton anymore because it doesn't need to be, and things like that. And it's like, I just thought that was quite interesting. It's funny, but it's also scary, and it's not like, I don't think that anyone's thinking, no, that'll be it. That must be it, because I don't. It's so. That's what I love about thinking about how will humans evolve in the future, because we can't even conceptualize the way we've evolved to now. Like, we can talk about it all day long about the processes and the timelines and the common ancestors, and we can look at the processes, and it's absolutely incredible, but it doesn't really do anything to help us imagine how this can go in the future when we're living right now in such a tiny window of time, how we could possibly perceive the future. And obviously there's lots of evolutionary biologists looking at what is likely to happen.
Society as well, because I know there's because we're almost hitting a point where everything's advancing, and like we talked about in the last episode with like AI and things like that. There's almost just people are almost so fearful of it that it's like it's happening, but nobody really wants it to happen. There's like there'll be people that go, "Oh, I think it'd be really cool. I love that idea," but a lot of people are going, "No, I quite like simplicity. It keeps me sane."
Yeah.
Like I agree. It's like the simplicity would keep me sane.
This is the thing. This is another thing. This is probably what makes it most difficult to think about evolution in the future, because we can't divorce ourselves from societal change and cultural change. I find myself distracted by, if I'm thinking about what is the physical human biologically going to change to be in the future, I find that crazy to try and think how that's going to go, and we can have virtual hypotheses about what it will be, but you end up forgetting about that because you get sucked into how society is going to change, how culture is going to change, because that's, they're intrinsically tied. Evolution is intrinsically tied to culture and society and future, particularly with humans. And how are you going to, you just get distracted. All you're thinking about is, I wonder if they'll make movies like this. I wonder if will we have, McDonald's anymore? Like you think of like these really simple things, like how is
daft stuff.
How is the everyday going to function? Are we only going to be, self-driving cars? It's just because it's like that's what a really good example. It's like obviously
every
like
joke
in the next
ever
10
have been told.
Yeah, in the next 10 to 50 years horrible. At least, like I reckon 10 years or so could be. I mean, it could be sooner. The rate things are going. We're all going to be in automatic cars. Like no one's ever going to drive again. Like someone driving a car will be like really odd. That would be like something you would do as a special experience. You get to go to an airfield and drive a real car.
Yeah, actually.
It's like for everyone else it'd be totally normal for no one to ever drive again. Yeah. And so and like I know that's not evolution, but that's all we can think about. It's really hard to think about
a direct correlation.
A personal biological evolution and a social
cultural
evolution.
Our brains are going to be overloaded and our bodies are going to be useless.
Well, one thing is, especially with the AI again, will probably people think that a way to combat it or to work with it is to integrate ourselves, so to put super intelligence in humans. So because if computers are going to go off and do it on their own, we need to tune ourselves up. We need to customize ourselves. We need to put chips in us. We need to do. We're going to have to compete against the machine race sort of thing. We're going to have to compete against the computers, which is just crazy. And again, it's like that's not a biological evolution of an individual. It's like it's a societal, it's a cultural evolution. It's like you can't. How can you conceptualize what a physical biological evolution is going to be when you're just completely flooded with the ideas of how culture and societies is gonna change? I just like the idea of everybody walking around with like. You always go back to 80s movies where there's like some cyborg guy and he's like got a little bit of metal in his ear here. He's got a funky eye here. It's like,
and he just kind of like
why?
Yeah, like an eye scanner.
There's always got to be some visual aid to tell you. Like we'd probably just look as we are. Like,
what does he do for a living?
You're not going to see like a big chunk of like
could ask him,
aluminium on his chin.
Yeah.
Like future mate, future aluminium chin.
Yeah, you'll need that.
I've got super AI in my chin because it's become cool now to have a metal chin.
Yeah, I can scan my nectar points into that.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you pay for stuff. Just wave your chin over the sensor. Oh god. So we'll probably we should wrap
another break.
Yeah, we have another break. Wrap up there. We got there's a couple of things that we need to get through. So we need to get through. Yeah,
we do need to get through.
We'll be right back.
Well, if you're still here, my thoughts are with you. If you're just listening but want to read more mind-mangling facts about evolution, why not hit pause and have a look at the info I've put on the YouTube video.
Right, so welcome back. We're still pumping out this cast.
Still on it, yeah.
So I just finished repeating myself about it's just so difficult to divorce yourself from biological change without constantly thinking about social and cultural change. It's like I can't think about a physical change because all I can think about
got to hit that
change.
essay word count.
So, right, I think I battered that over the head. Let's move on. I think just a brief touch on the idea of civilization grades. You know how the way we talk about civilization, where like, you know, stage 1 civilization, stage 2 and stage 5 and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like once we get to stage 5 or something, where that means we're a civilization that can avoid destruction, you know, so like an imminent threat of an asteroid or, you know, self-destruction, you become such a good civilization that you're capable of just planet hopping basically and stuff like that. Like, you kind of want to think of that as evolution. It's an odd thing, but it's not actually evolution, is it? It's just...
No.
Because we're still...
It's basically forcing your body to adapt to an alien environment.
Yeah, especially as we're as evolved as we are now, as you know, we were quite a few, you know, thousands of years back. It's like, just because technology is becoming incredible and we'll move to other planets and things like that, you'd like to think that's probably what will happen and may have to be what happens. It's not. That's not evolution, but those changes, because they're so dramatic, it feels like, you know, it just feels. It's almost like who cares about evolution when imminent physical changes that are greater than that are happening already. But yeah, I just think it's interesting to touch on that as like civilization, because civilization does grow with evolution. But
it's more of a history lesson, is evolution, because you can only really study what's already happened. And I know people will predict, like particularly the experts, will have a better understanding of where we're going and what makes things change into what. Like, what would make you adapt and why would it make you adapt? So they'll be able to make
someone's got the finger on the pulse somewhere.
Someone will have some kind of idea.
They better do,
I'm sure. But neither of us would be.
Once we go to another planet, will we somehow work a way to take off whatever technology we use to protect ourselves from that environment?
Scales?
Can we transition? Can we make a thing where we transition from needing our spacesuits to wear and eventually evolve to live on another planet because of how long we'll be there? That'd be interesting. We become the Martians. We become Martians because we move there and eventually we work our way into making it so that we don't need to use technology. We it sort of naturally select it in the way we breed dogs.
Yeah.
Or we move to a new planet, we see what we need to do to thrive on it, and we breed ourselves to fit that planet.
We'd have to, really.
I think that's quite a fun, entertaining thing.
I mean, imagine if you're closer to the sun.
I mean, there's moral issues with
be born
breeding
wearing
sunglasses,
things like that. You're born with a certain age.
You would be like you would just be born with Ray-Bans on.
And instead of sweat,
other sunglass brands
like
are available.
cream.
Yeah, exactly. Your sweat would be UV rays.
And your body be getting so burned, evolution would be like, right,
we'd just be
guys.
We'd be completely monochromatic. We would be absolutely. We'd just be granite.
We'd just dust ourselves off.
Yeah. Or maybe we'd get like super white skin, and we like generate so much energy from reflecting the sun's light off our skin that's how we live. Like we just beam out. Like, naturally, all our skin's beaming energy onto everything, and we don't we use to power transport with just
it's so blinding. You'd bump into people in the street. You'd be like, oh, who is that?
Because that's like one of those things which genetic engineering and artificial evolution, if you like, there's no such thing. It's real evolution. It's just a sped up process. It's just and that is obviously something that a lot of experts are looking at now as to how we can overcome certain things and hereditary diseases.
It's pressure that forces it to.
So if we can incubate ourselves and we'll grow our race like from petri dishes, so make sure that we can live on whatever planet we want, because we've worked out how to get the conditions of the human body to become
a piece of bacteria.
Yeah. But
imagine going to all that effort and it turns out to be like Piers Morgan or something.
What do you mean?
Or just like
you grew a Piers Morgan.
And you're like, what are the chances?
What? Just like a scientist there in the lab, and it's like, what, you're saying it happens instantly? Like you go through
all that painful process of like having a Tamagotchi where you got to look after it every day. And it's just like
your petri dish has evolved into a error. Piers Morgan walks out. What has
you're already
gone
trying
wrong?
to hack your phone. And you're like, just
scientist is in there like,
you just put it in the bin.
What have you done?
It's bloody Piers Morgan.
It's happened again. So like that's a terrifying. That's more terrifying than AI and everything else.
That
The
would be
idea that
horrible.
someone might accidentally grow another Piers Morgan.
It's the last thing we need.
So that's fun. But I was going to get into the extended phenotype, which is because I guess you can draw allusions to that in with what I'm saying with respect to how we tie our evolution ideas to our civilization and our buildings and our all these things that we do in nature. Like Richard Dawkins talks about this sort of thing that he's written a book called The Extended Phenotype, and I think he's written maybe one or two on this subject. But it's just so interesting. It's so fun and to think about. And it's the way in which in nature the gene, the selfish gene, that's another book you're on it, where and I really hope I don't get this wrong or misquote him, because it's already a difficult concept to grasp, I think.
I am familiar with the selfish
where
gene.
he talks about the fact that in nature the animals, like the genes themselves, extend beyond the organism, if you like, or into other things. So like a good example is like a bird's nest. Like that sort of evolves along with the bird, even though
the bird knows to build a nest and how to build a nest just through instinct.
And this is a natural organism. It's not like the link I was making with cities and stuff is like obviously the fact that we like upgrade our civilization, our technology, and our cities is not an example of what you could call an extended phenotype, because these are all like man-made processes. These are, but the parallels you can draw in the way that over time, and another good example is the beaver dam. So a beaver, for some reason, builds a dam, and like perhaps there's really good coverage on how and why this happens, but it's sort of an odd phenomenon the way that beavers live, and they build dams.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
like
get on
just
with
to
it.
be a nuisance.
They live and they exist, and that's how they survive, is by building their dam. And it's sort of interesting to think about what drives that and how that is, because obviously they affect their environment quite heavily. Like the beaver, I think, is probably number two, is a great example of the extended phenotype, because they affect their environment massively beyond what their simple organism is, all through natural processes. So obviously the humans are number one. We affect our environment more crazily than anything else. Yeah. And so we affect the evolution of the environment through our impact. And the beaver does so in the way that the different wood that they collect for, what's better at building a dam, this type of wood. Okay, so over millions and millions of years, the type of wood changes to be a wood that perhaps better suits dams, and so the types of trees that grow around it will change.
Which is just a little bit
and the
bad,
types of the way that the lakes form, and what lakes are better for building dams on, what lakes aren't, what type of water, all these other things. Like, there's so many factors that affect that and have a direct relationship with the natural world, and what other animals then live there, and all this other stuff. And the fact that the beaver's going to be gnawing away at the trees, the way in which the beaver's teeth develop to gnaw the tree affect the way in which the tree develops to be or not to be gnawed. So and that's what in a roundabout sense, the extended phenotype is, if that. Do you sort of...
Yeah, I know what you mean. I haven't read
the books for a while, but that's basically the thing. It's like, this is not actually the gene. It feels like it doesn't make sense to call it the gene. It's not the genes, it's not the natural selection, but actually it kind of is. It's all happening together. These are all connected. They are extended. They are that is the gene having that impact.
Yeah,
it's
like I am familiar. I'm familiar with particularly the selfish gene, because I know that he's pointed out before that essentially we are just housing for genes, and the genes are selfish in the sense that they basically do everything they can just to protect themselves. The gene is there, like, exactly, I am just protecting me, so I can pass me on.
And so in the extended phenotype, the genes do whatever the hell they want to the environment in these ways. Like, not every animal has a great example. Like, the beaver's just a great example of what I feel like he's encapsulating with the extended phenotype.
Yeah.
And obviously none of these things are like new, if you like. It's not like, I mean, these books are a few years old as well, but I mean, when he wrote them, like, everything that he talks about is not new, but it's like it's this link, it's drawing this thing about
but it's been able to get your
itself.
theory across as well. It's basically basically having the theory, and then it's another thing being able to get that across where people go, oh,
Yeah. But
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Instead of just going, I know how it works in my head.
Yeah, I could be. Yeah, I mean, the
Just can't
extended
explain
phenotype thing is like it's not strictly like evolution is its own thing, and the extended phenotype is like, I feel like that's his contribution to a conversation within that subject. Like that is, I'm not sure because it's a while since I read him, so I don't know if it's like that's a fact. It's like, yes, actually, this is a gene and this is all the thing. I'm not sure. I should probably have double checked it before I looked it up, but I mean, like, it doesn't really matter really, because I'm just talking about how interesting that idea is and how that is related to evolution. I think evolution is so much more than you give it credit for. Just even the fact that we know what we know about genes and the facts of evolution as it is amazing enough without things like the extended phenotype coming into it. Is what I'm saying. I just like I like how broad these things go and how you can draw. It's inspiring almost and enriching to think about how the world, how everything affects everything. And
yeah, it is mad how it's all linked. I'll tell you what. This is a question.
Go on.
Which is relevant. It's a question that's posed to me quite a lot.
Oh dear.
Okay. This question is, why are your bollocks so tender?
Like
not just like a mate.
Yeah. Well,
can you have a little feel? They're feeling a bit.
Yeah. As in, you mean why are they so susceptible
why
to
are this
pain?
like honestly like why is it just it's such an awful pain? Why would they?
Is that a genuine question?
Why? Yeah, I've had people go, why are they so delicate?
Well, what would
Shouldn't they
your
be really
answer be?
strong? It's like, well, they're really delicate so that you look after them. Again, it goes back to this whole selfish gene thing. It's
Look
like
after the
basically,
lads.
yeah, according to your genes, those two Tezzers are the most important thing to them, because without them, that gene could not be passed on.
Yeah.
So it's like,
they
are.
God,
like, I don't care about the rest of you.
Yeah.
The rest of like that little bit.
Yeah.
That little bit in your elbow there.
To go back
feel.
from the quote that we had right at the start of
Yeah.
a chicken is an egg's way of making another egg.
Yeah.
The bollock. The human body is a bollock's way of making another bollock.
Exactly. The bollock's way of making another bollock. Or two.
Yeah.
Or three if evolution gets its way.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's pain. It's like...
I would not want three bollocks.
Yeah,
I'd
if you
rather
couldn't
reduce it to
feel
one.
it, if they were a bit numb, you'd be like tenderising steak with it and stuff like that. You'd be like just getting your mates to like, God.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a rib cage around it.
And then they'd be ruined, and you'd be like, oh, good one. Your genes would be like, good one, you are worthless to me now.
It would be really good.
And then it would probably like give you cancer or something as a punishment. Yeah, I reckon it's probably
just
that way
direct
inclined.
repercussions.
Yeah.
Like people don't know, but evolution's been keeping this quiet. Evolution is actually a
it's actually
greater
quite
mind,
sinister.
And it's like it knows what's happening. It will
punishes you.
It will
if you
on
try and ruin its plan.
Well, actually, that is the case. If evolution doesn't work out, it doesn't obviously it doesn't punish you. But if you could describe evolution's punishment as death.
Yeah,
by getting eaten by a predator.
Dead. You have no siblings.
You weren't good enough.
No offspring.
So this animal's going to eat you now because you weren't good enough. There's your punishment, mate.
Yeah, you are just a corpse.
So it's
on
like
the battlefield.
I like the idea of someone like, no, I'm going to outsmart evolution. I'm just going to try really hard. I actually don't have the right genes. I'm just going to use what I've got really well.
I'm going to pass on some really dreadful
I know
hereditary
for a fact
traits.
that I have got some shite hereditary traits. I am not
genes.
the best geared for this, but I'm going to just work really hard so that I survive anyway.
I am
you, evolution.
A complete moron with like all kinds of hereditary diseases that I'm just gonna spread them on, just to piss genes off.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
just to slip through the cracks.
Yeah, it's just let's just really dirty up the gene pool.
Yeah,
right
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, I've got a couple of things that I'd like to finish with, as soon as we're getting towards the end. But that's quite fun. I like the idea, because I tell you what, I really would put a box around the balls. I would I just wish they were inside. I wish they were not like. I wish they had like skeletal casing. Because
it's
the whole
way
thing
the scrotum kind of just kind of picks and chooses depending on temperature and how you feel. Like where it is,
it has to be the right temperature. That's why. Like it's why when
I'm in the bath, it's like
it's a great example.
They're just there, like I love it.
There's some crazy things that really explain the way, like show the way in which evolution hasn't got a will. I don't think that the balls are a great example, but to some people that would be. No, because there's some really extreme stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like, to us, that's a very close to home way of saying, like, that seems mental. Why would the balls be so fragile?
Yeah.
And, like, easy to get to? And, like,
if it were,
would there
you
be
just wouldn't look after them, or would you?
Well, no, but someone would say, well, why, if they are so important, why didn't we build? Why wasn't the skeleton built in around it? You know?
Why isn't it internal? Yeah, that's
one of the reasons why they're internal is because in order to be the right temperature, they need to be outside of the body. They need to be slightly cooler, so that I forget what the. Well, I mean, this is just sex ed. People know this,
but they can't be too cold. It's why they
can't be too cold.
They do.
Like can we just like back step into the cave a bit, lads? It's like a bit of a wind outside. Yeah, but get to the fire, lads. But
it's warm back there.
But it does seem mental, and that's because there is no will or way. It's just that's just the way we got here. Is we are as evolved as any other creature, whether it's an insect or a snail. Just because we look and are more intelligent in certain ways, we're just as evolved, and there's no will. It's just the balls are there, and mate, whether you like it or not, whether you think evolution's messed up or not, I'm afraid it's worked. Like, however much you want to improve it, it works.
Because if you didn't evolve,
it's literally
you would just
perfect.
Die.
Evolution is perfect.
It's there to basically keep species alive.
You can't, like...
The reason it happens, it doesn't just do it because it's like, we want to be bigger and cooler.
It's like, connected to so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many...
It's like the whole Darwin thing of he discovered a bird on one island had a longer beak than the other because of what they ate.
And
it was like, basically, if they swapped islands, they'd die. Basically.
Now, coming back to Darwin, have you got that quote? Because you found a quote from...
I did find
a
quote. It was Darwin, I think.
No, but it was about Darwin. Oh, no, sorry, it was somebody else talking about...
Oh, sorry, it was Galileo.
Galileo, yeah. I don't know if this is on Brainy Quote or something. It's probably not Galileo, but...
Goodreads.com.
Yeah, I don't know how good they are.
I don't know how good they are.
I've seen some serious misquoting on various sites. But let's have the quote anyway.
Gandhi.
It doesn't matter, really.
Yeah,
the quote is the good thing, so let's have it. Smash it.
I do not feel obliged to believe that the same God who has endowed us with sense, reason and intellect has intended us to forego their use.
Now,
what's that mean then?
This is pretty inflammatory to some people if you're of the religious inclination, right? But I think, actually, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, this quote, because and this is where I want to wrap up with Darwin, because he's the lad, he's the evolutionary lad, and most people, unless you're a creationist, which there's people out there, I'm like, there's no point getting into that, but most religions and most very religious people do also accept evolution. In fact, the majority of all religions and religious persons accept evolution, but the point is that Darwin was a religious bloke, right? To me, Darwin is like the epitome of a scientific fella, right?
Because you think so.
Well, in the face of everything, like you said there, like imagine whether you I don't know what doesn't matter what background you come from. Imagine everything you believed in told you X was true. And
everything's been put
discover
to question.
You discover something that tells you that's not the case. How scientific do you have to be to remove your personal bias? Because we have personal bias in absolutely everything we do. It doesn't matter how scientific you want yourself to be. You say, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good at this.
Deny all you want.
I'm pretty good at just like, all right, what is the science? What is the evidence? I'm skeptical to the absolute,
prove it, basically,
to the absolute maximum.
I'm the same.
And
prove it.
But when you're in a world when you're programmed to completely disagree with what you're discovering, not only did Darwin, I don't know how intensely religious he was, but it's the idea that even if he wasn't religious, it's like society was against him. Everything was against this thought that he was developing, and not only did he realise, because other people had, there was one or two scientists, I forget the other guy's name now, but one of the other blokes had sort of discovered this natural selection thing. He'd sort of seen that something's going on here, but he didn't actually make the link, didn't realise that this could be everything. This could be the thing that is life. This is like one of the most, possibly the most incredible thing that's ever been discovered.
At the time, anyway.
And he didn't make that connection. Darwin managed to make that connection. He managed to realise, this could be driving everything. And then, I mean, there's things he got wrong, like he got genetics like totally wrong, but we've sorted that now.
Understandable.
But like everything that he did, like the way that because evolution, it just spans everything. Evolution, when you're talking about life and science, it kind of just comes into every subject. It just comes into, you know, just geography and biology and, you know, just it spills over. It just spills over into all kind of scientific subjects. And so he managed to encapsulate this. He managed to realise what it was against his beliefs and against society. Like it was like heresy coming forward and saying what he was saying. And all he did was look after the science and be disinterested, as it were, and logical and pragmatic and experimented and got on with it.
Yeah, he did it right.
And here we are talking about like evolution because of this chat. And I think like it you know,
you didn't have to complete the study, you just had to start it.
I'm not trying to sort of paint him as some sort of hero, but I think some people perhaps, because the scientific value, the scientific method is just so important to just how you get on with your life. And if there's ever a great demonstration of what that means, you know, then Darwin is just a great explanation of that. And evolution, we can talk all day like we just have about how awesome evolution is, but I think perhaps it gives why do people love Darwin? Why
pretty
are people,
cool fact.
Why are people amazed by Darwin? And I like to think that that's a reason that not everyone's so bothered about, or perhaps might not be on everyone's radar. People just kind of take for granted that he kind of did this. Like, just think about the scale of discovery and everything that was against him, and about what it means to just look at,
not just kind of poo-pooing it either, not just going
or just hoping something's not true. Like how many studies have you read?
It away.
How many studies have you read online where you know something and then something challenges your thoughts and you're like, I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine that.
We
can't even do it over
how
little
felt
things.
Before.
And yet he did it over like the biggest thing in the world. He managed to just be a scientist.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's that whole thing of...
We'd all like to think that. It's like, well, no. But
following the crowd.
I'm biased. No, I can look at just what's there. And
you want to be the one guy who goes, hang on.
But he was that guy.
It's like the guy, it's like the one person in class who's like, it's the end of the day, it's last lesson, and the teacher's like, are there any questions? And someone goes, I have one. And everyone goes, the bell's gone, and it's like, come on, don't be that guy. Right, we've got our thing. Let's stick to it, yeah?
He's absolute lad.
Yeah.
Absolute lad.
I like his balls.
Yeah.
Balls.
He had some serious bullocks.
Yeah, he certainly did. Quite the scrot on him.
Quite the scrot. I mean, I hope that didn't just sound like some sort of, just like I was just getting all up in Darwin's balls. And if you've already considered the greatness of Darwin without that little spiel at the end there, then awesome.
Fantastic.
Soz to bore you.
Yeah.
But obviously he's been celebrated as much as he put.
You don't overdo
I mean,
it.
He was on the £10 note. That's a pretty big deal. And but if there's one reason, if there's a reason why, that's one right there. So
he's literally in my pocket.
Well, is he? You got some old ones still?
Oh, is he not in the new ones?
No, mate. I'm not that I'm aware of.
Not?
Yeah, I was devastated. I think he should. I think Darwin is like Darwin and Newton never should be replaced. They just. Come on, mate.
It's Jane Austen.
That's right.
I've never actually checked.
Welcome to the modern day.
Well, if that's no reason to be upset, I don't know what is.
That's not to diminish anything that Jane Austen has brought to the world.
Yeah. She's
just saying. We're on Darwin at the minute, so just pipe down, Jane. All right. Well, any closing statements? Because I think the camera's about to.
Not at all. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Again.
And join us next week when we'll be discussing.
Something.
I'll put it at the end.
Yeah.
There we go. I trust you enjoyed this episode of Mmmcast and our foray into evolution. Join us next time for episode 3, in which we'll embark on another mental meander. The topic is social media.